Starts the 24th of November on Channel 5 and My 5.
More than 3 years on from Captain Tom's record-breaking walk raising money for NHS charities together, questions have followed his daughter and her husband's business dealings.
It begins small, it's like a snowball, isn't it? It's little and it's gathering and gathering and it gets really big, and then at some point it knocks you over. It turns people against you, and understandably so.
In an effort to seize control, the family decided to sit down with Talk TV's Piers Morgan for their now much critiqued, revealing interview.
She wanted an opportunity to clear her name, and I think that Hannah Ingram wanted to put her side of the story to the nation.
This story has become huge in recent weeks, and I think, you know, Piers Morgan's interview made it even bigger.
It was a risky strategy. Piers Morgan wasn't prepared to leave any stone unturned.
Hannah, Colin, thank you very much indeed for sitting down with me.
I have been interviewed by Piers Morgan a lot of times in my life, and so I know what it's like to be on the receiving end, and I know that it is not always a pleasant experience. What I don't understand is how you could sign up for an interview with Piers Morgan and not expect it to be a fairly combative experience.
Look, I can understand why the family wanted to try and put the record straight. I don't think they came out of it particularly well.
Straight off the bat, why have you agreed to do this interview? What do you hope to get out of this?
I think, Piers, you know, you've been on this journey with us since almost the very beginning, back in those early days of 2020 and lockdown.
Piers Morgan was quick to focus on the construction of a complex on the grounds of the Ingram Moore family home in Bedfordshire.
When Hannah first applied for planning permission for it, it was going to be a sort of museum to Captain Tom.
Captain Tom got given a huge amount of stuff. He got given amazing things from, you know, big celebrities around the world. So they wanted a way to sort of preserve just the enormity of what had happened.
In August 2021, a planning application goes in. This planning permission is granted. Unsurprisingly, it's got Captain Tom's name on it. It's a memorial to somebody that everybody adored.
But one detail of the application caught a lot of people's attention.
Now, the issue with this is that the original application that was filed was clearly in the name of the Captain Tom Foundation. It referred to it as an application to build the Captain Tom Foundation building.
But, and I think this is something that people often leave out of the argument, is that they paid for this themselves. It ultimately was something that they just wanted to build on their property, and they should have never used the charity name to get it through planning application.
Our original application, the name was never intended to be the Captain Tom Foundation. It was supposed to be the Captain Tom Building. It got lost in translation, and we take responsibility for that completely.
Because the original application does name check Captain Tom Foundation a lot.
It does.
It can be quite painful to watch. I think they kind of struggled with an interview like that, and they clearly know that there are some bits that they haven't done correctly and they haven't done by the book.
The difficulty with all of this is this something you're doing for the family, or is this something you're doing for the foundation? And that's ultimately the big issue with this.
But there was another complication with the building, and it was added to the list of queries for Hannah and Colin.
The Barbados holiday. The 18 grand for judging awards, keeping 800 grand from book money, and then a row over a spa pool. What gets built is not very close to what's applied for. What we end up with is effectively a home spa.
The spa. It doesn't look good, does it?
When I first walk in, the first thing I see is a luxurious spa pool. That's got nothing to do with Captain Tom, at all.
The original planning application was approved and they started the build. And then subsequently, it was changed with the plan adding quite a significant additional amount of building.
They started to build the building. Then they submitted an application for a pool and for toilets and for spa-type things.
You have to have a spa pool, don't you? I mean, we all know that's what you do when you go and pay someone respect. You've got to have a swim and a day out at the spa.
And the council said, no, that's not what this is about. You don't need a swimming pool in a museum.
It starts to really enrage the public because it seems to say, I don't think that I am bound by the rules that everybody else have to follow because I'm Captain Tom's daughter, so I can do whatever the hell I like.
It led to this awkward exchange with Piers Morgan as he pressed Hannah to justify the pool.
Why? Why did you need to have that?
Well, that was the historical part. So we bought it because we talked about doing it with my father.
Right, but he's already...
He's
given that
already
he had died by the time you did this, so why did you want to add the spa here as a family?
Because we wanted it as part of that legacy and because it was a nice thing to do. We also wanted to have it as a community building so that we could help some of the local ageing population. Maybe we could have some Pilates classes up here. Maybe they could come and do what my father couldn't do and walk up and down in the resistance pool.
By the end of her interview with Piers Morgan, when she was saying, you know, this is for older people and it's all about helping the ageing population, and so, you know, by that time, I just didn't believe her. And I feel bad saying that because maybe it's absolutely genuine and true, but she kind of lost me then.
The claim also didn't wash with Central Bedfordshire Council. An enforcement order was issued insisting that the now unauthorised building be demolished. Hannah and Colin appealed the order. They said the building was not overbearing and was set back away from public view.
As we saw on Piers Morgan, you go in and you see this big spa pool, and the reality is the spa looks like a bit of an eyesore. There's been a shift within the village. It's almost like a Archers-style plot line.
It's actually wrecked my mother's life. As I say, she's 99, and she used to like sitting on the settee there, looking out at the trees that were all along there watching the birds. Now, she very rarely sits there because all she can see is this awful building, which is why I've planted those trees to help screen it, but obviously they're not high enough.
Now, in the Piers Morgan interview, he was really pushing the family to say, why don't you just get rid of the spa? No matter what, why don't you just get rid of the spa because people don't like it? And they were very reluctant to say it. They just didn't say it. It's those moments that you think that just doesn't sit right with the public.
Why don't you just say, Colin, we're going to get rid of the pool?
Well, we have to see what happens, but...
No, you don't.
The only
option... You don't, though. It's your pool.
I think the interview backfired, unfortunately. I think they went into it thinking that this was their chance to sort of wipe the slate clean, explain their position. Whilst they did explain stuff, they also revealed stuff that looked more damaging to them.
If Hannah Ingram Moore were more experienced, more media trained, more savvy, she would know not to just talk to fill the silence. But unfortunately, she doesn't know that. And he basically gives her enough rope to hang herself with. She just keeps talking and saying things, and she loses control.
I think this is a really I think it's a really unfair line of questioning because
people can't relate to them in the same way that they can relate to Captain Tom. They don't engender that feeling of warmth.
While trying to explain their actions and justify their decisions to Piers Morgan, another sorry side of this story was laid bare.
We live in times when reputations are shredded by mad mobs on social media every minute of every day, whether it deserved or not.
There was always an underbelly of hate, But we lived with it because, in fact, what he was doing is he was giving hope to the world, and all we wanted to do was support him to do that.
There's no excuse for this level of online abuse, and she's had death threats. She's had all kinds of horrific things said to her, and she doesn't deserve that. Nobody deserves that.
Much has happened since the Ingram Moores interview with Piers Morgan. A decision on the future of the spa building has been reached.
Isn't it a shame that the memory of Sir Tom, Captain Tom, will continue to be dragged along like this?